Now, before the Brexit vote, we had all this fear-mongering and everything else. We even had an American president trying to tell us how to vote and consequences of if we don't vote will be grave and all this lot. And I think that kind of tipped things over the balance when Mr. President Obama, God, I hate the guy. Anyway, that's beside the point. But when he ended up saying that, I think it tipped most of the people who were a bit on the fence over to our side. No, what? What? Okay. Go on then, follow the footprints if you want. Now, on the day of the Brexit vote, after the result came in, strange things sort of happened. Anyone who was paying attention would have noticed that not only were the Remain side shocked that they'd lost, but strangely the Leave side were shocked that they'd won. And there was absolute chaos across the board. No one knew what to do about it. It just wasn't expected at all. I really do think that they expected to lose, and there's a reason why they expected to lose. You see, there's these things called exit polls. I don't know if anyone who's watching this knows what they're about, but basically, there's like survey takers that stand outside polling stations, and when people come out to after they voted, they get asked how did they vote. At that point, it's an actual legal thing to do. Now, on the day of Brexit, for 3 days after, there was 53 separate independent exit polls done. Now, these exit polls showed a very different picture to what the actual vote said. Now, obviously, sometimes when people are put on the spot, they'll say something just to get rid of people, so there is a kind of little bit of discrepancy in the exit polls, but a lot of time they're pretty much almost bob on. There's normally about say between 3 and 5% that's the difference. Now, these exit polls, these 53 independent exit polls, were showing a 75% in favour of Leave. Now, that completely contradicts what the vote was when it came in as 53-47, I think, or 52-48 or something like that. 3 days later, every single one of those polls were gone from the internet. Can't find them anywhere now. I did have a screenshot of them, but lost that phone and blah blah. It's a different story. Hopefully someone somewhere has got it, but the news has got out because I've seen a few other channels talking about it as well, so they obviously know. Now, the only poll left is a government-run one, which shows exactly what the vote was. You can already tell that's a bollocks one because it wouldn't be exact. Someone's really not paid attention to how polls turn out. To be honest, they're never exact. Anyway, back to the stuff in the ballot. Now, the reason why we know he stuffed the ballot was I believe that the election results were true to an extent. It's just that I don't think that the powers that be expected as big a turnout as what came out, because a lot of people, just like me, who don't normally vote during the general election, basically because they can't be bothered to vote for two sides of the same coin. That meaning that basically whatever you vote for, it doesn't matter anyway, they're still going to do the same policies. This was an ideology. This was an idea, a real cause. It wasn't for a person, it was for an idea to get out of Europe and get out of this absolutely crazy system that we're in. You right there, mister? So yeah, a lot of people who don't normally vote, who are very interested in politics and the way things are run, decided, well, fuck this, let's get out and let's vote. And that's what we did, en masse. So the landslide that they would have had with the stuffing of the ballot, if it had worked, they stuffed the ballot basically to make anyone who was thinking of doing another kind of thing with the Brexit movement again after that would be deterred because they thought that public opinion was behind them. Yeah, go on then if you want. Yeah, go on. They think the public opinion wasn't behind them and it wasn't worth doing. They did it as a deterrent. Unfortunately, it backfired. And instead, it ended up with a narrow victory for us, the Brexit mob. Now, after that, I mean, both sides knew this anyway. I don't think any of them thought that they were going to win. Well, they knew that they weren't going to win. You could see that when David Cameron stepped down. Obviously, he had no choice then. He set the referendum. It all gone tits up for him. So now there was an opening for a new leader. We should have had someone who supported Brexit. First in line with Boris Johnson. I'm still in two minds about the guy. At first I thought, yeah, this guy will do it for us. He'll do it for us. But he was pushed out, strangely, out of the leadership race by Michael Gove, who did it. I don't know why he bothered, because he ended up with, I think it was either 10 or 15% of the membership vote to be leader, which is just ridiculous. What? Yeah, no. Ah, wow. Go on. But in any case, he was still a Brexit supporter, still believed in Brexit. Would have been alright, I suppose, if he'd got in. He just wouldn't have been Boris. Then we had some woman whose name I cannot for the life of me remember. What? Okay, don't give up then, keep on going. Now this woman, to be honest, it should have got in with all living in houses made of cheese, identifying as rabbits, and probably trading currency in carrots. But in any case, she was pushed out by Remainer, Theresa May. Now bless her cotton socks. She said Brexit means Brexit, and all the fluff that she's meant to say, that her EU masters told her to say. Okay, well, don't worry. But her ultimate goal was to derail Brexit and totally knacker it up as a deterrent to other countries that might be thinking of doing the same thing. What? Help! Now, this has been proved in the past couple of weeks by even I've forgotten what the guy's called, but I'll put a video up after this that'll explain it all anyway. Who's basically said that they wanted Brexit to fail as a deterrent for other countries. Other pieces of evidence that we were never going to leave the EU with Theresa May in charge. Last year she signed us up for the EU army. Now, why would she sign us up for the EU army if we were leaving? That's strange, isn't it? Halfway through the Brexit process and she's signing us up for the EU army. What's going on there? What?
Hey, help! Somebody help!
No, because we're not lost or anything, we're alright. Yeah. Anyway. Don't know why we're not lost. We're in a park that's this. Basically, that's all we've got. But yeah. So anyway, another alarm bell ringing sort of sign, another red flag, sorry, was they're signing us up for the EU elections, which are held in June, I think, May or June. Now, every country had to make sure they were signed up by, I think it was March last year, for the EU elections, or else we wouldn't get, the citizens wouldn't be able to vote. So why was she signing us up for the EU elections if we were leaving? Can anyone smell a rat? I can. You see, there's a few misconceptions about the EU. Everyone thinks it's all rainbows and light and all to do with trade. The EU has nothing to do with trade whatsoever. The EU has never had anything to do with trade whatsoever. The original plan, as I stated before last time in the preparation video for this, was that basically it was a Nazi plan to start with. It was a Nazi model that they ended up adopting. The reason being is they were going to consolidate power completely to Brussels. There's a thing called the EU Commission, which is unelected, run by mostly bankers and CEOs and ex-bankers and CEOs. It's completely unelected, that has final say on any decision that's made in the EU Parliament. Basically, they make the laws, they make the rules. We have no choice, we have no way of electing or unelecting any of those bureaucrats that are actually in power. The MEPs are powerless. They're just there as a token, as a token sort of thing to make it look like that we have a choice. We've never had a choice. The EU's getting more and more powerful, more and more desperate at the moment. That was basically evidenced by both Macron and Merkel, both at the same time, both in, I think it was either September or not, October, basically stating that all member states of the EU need to basically give over power of running their state to the EU, to basically Brussels. What? So, hold on. You're saying that basically we need to give up all of our member states, we need to give up all of our sovereignty, we need to give up our nations and our freedom to a bunch of bureaucrats in Brussels that are unelected. Most of these unelected commission members are also some of the most, should I say, prominent voices in the EU at the moment, that being Verhofstadt, Barnier, Tusk, Juncker, all them. They basically all run the show. All of them are they ex-Nazis, Juncker being one of them. His dad was, as I've said before, so far up Hitler's arse it was waving out of his nose. He was a Nazi war hero. Hitler gave him the province of Luxembourg and he's never given it back. His family's never given it back. So he owns Luxembourg, basically. What? I did survive, yeah. Well, hey, how good's that, eh?
And you survived?
I did survive, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, like I was saying.
Can we do that again?
Well, if you want, yeah. Yeah, if you want, you can go around that way.
No, Dad.
Come on, I'm coming. Right. So, yeah. The EU is basically the next step to a world government. If you'll notice, at first it was supposed to be just the Western European states. That being Germany, France, Belgium, Netherlands, Denmark. Although they ended up getting their own sort of sweeping deal out of it. They're not a fully member of the EU. Britain, France, I've already mentioned France, Spain, Italy, Austria. Now though, we see that we've amalgamated a few of the Eastern European states, such as Ukraine, Bulgaria, Croatia, Montenegro. All these basically on their arse states at the moment. None of these countries, including Greece, Spain, Portugal and Italy, none of them have very solvent economies before they joined. And they knew this before they joined. In fact, the people who let them join knew this before they joined. So, when they realised that these countries were broke, or when it finally came out that these countries were broke, in came austerity for everybody. Now, Jean-Paul Juncker and Barnier have both said themselves that Britain, as in us, as in our taxpayers, are the EU's money pot. Why? Because contrary to popular belief, Britain has a very strong economy. Sterling is still the bench standard, the benchmark for which all currencies are based on. Basically, you'll notice that not one other currency in the whole entire world actually pays less for pound sterling. Although petrodollar is the fiat currency of the world, the petrodollar, I'll do another video on that some other time. Our actual currency is probably one of the strongest in the world. What? Go on then, if you want to go that way. Also, another reason why they don't want Britain to leave is that if Britain leaves, the EU collapses. Economically, it collapses. We're currently holding up the Deutsche Bank, the German central bank, because that is in the middle of a massive mortgage crisis at the moment, and the only thing that's holding it up at the minute is us, is our taxpayers' money. Same with France. There's a mineral that is needed for what? Go on then. For electric cars. Now, Macron has made it law that the whole of France must be using either electric or hybrid cars by, I think it's 2021, 2022. So he told the French motor industry that he has, I think it's 100 times more than the actual world's supply of cobalt, which is needed to make these cars, to make them run, and it doesn't exist. And he flooded the motor industry with billions and billions and billions of pounds to basically make all these cars, and then up the fuel tax in France. Smart move, smart cookie, that guy, I tell you. So basically, now it's coming out that there isn't this much cobalt in the world. What? What? What?
They say, oh.
Oh, what? Oh dear. Who means that? Anyway. Well, it's now come out that there isn't actually this much cobalt in the world, and the billions and billions of pounds that is flooded into the motor industry is now gone. The reason being because they spent it all. Well, obviously. You just got flooded with billions of dollars, billions of pounds. What are you going to do? You're going to fucking spend it. Of course you are. So yeah, the French economy is about to collapse. Another thing, this is another thing why the yellow vests are so angry at the moment, because Macron's crashed their economy. Literally, the only thing that's holding them up at the moment is us mugs. All the bailouts, everything else. Yeah, the bailouts, the austerity measures, the help that we give to places like Greece and Italy and Portugal and Spain and everywhere else. It's us that pays most, not the fucking Germans. Get a grip. The Germans are fucking skint. It's us that's holding them up. We've still got the Falkland Islands, right? Not a lot of people know this, right? And everyone's waiting until the oil's just about running out, because there's a massive oil field underneath the Falkland Islands. Massive untapped oil wells. This is why we fought so hard for the Falklands against the Argentinians. The Argentinians want the Falklands back because their country's desperate for cash. They're absolutely screwed at the moment. They need those oil wells.
Can
What?
use your hand.
Okay. They need those oil wells, and we own them. And we won't let them go. Which we don't have to be honest. The people who live on the Falkland Islands have lived there for hundreds of years, a couple of hundred years, so they don't want to go. They're British as far as they're concerned. Which is true, they are. It's a British colony. One of the few that's left. So, this is why the EU is so desperate for us to stay in. Because as soon as we leave, the money pit goes. This is why they want that. This is 39 and 40 billion pound. What? Go on then. They want 39 and 40 billion pounds. Yeah, as a divorce settlement to tide them over a bit until they think of something else to do. I think. What? Yeah. It's a just in case measure. Just in case we actually leave without a deal, which won't happen. They won't let us. Or supposedly they won't let us. I think if we don't leave on the 29th of March, there's going to be uproar, going to be absolute chaos. And I think May's starting to realise this, especially with words, kind of rhetoric from people like Tusk saying that we're all basically anyone who voted Brexit deserves a space in the